My hands were shaking, my chest burning, and then everything went black.
My name is Emily Dawson. I am 32 years old. 7 minutes ago, I was facing death, and what I saw next changed everything.
Emily, slow down. The roads are slick, I muttered to myself, gripping the steering wheel tighter. It was Thursday night in Dallas, Texas. Rain streaked across the windshield, reflecting the red and white glow of streetlights. My hands were trembling, not from the cold, but from the memory that haunted me every single day, the night I lost Michael, my husband, in a hit and run. Who was I? Emily Dawson, 34, a Christian woman who had always believed faith could carry me through anything. I sang in the church choir, volunteered at the local shelter, and led Bible study groups. People saw a strong woman, steady and faithful. But did they know how bitter I had become? How angry? How hollow? Why was I thinking about forgiveness tonight? I did not know. I just knew the question had been gnawing at me for years. Could I ever forgive the man who took Michael from me? How do people just move on after something like this? I whispered into the quiet car. The hum of the engine and the splatter of rain on the roof were my only answers. Where was I going? Home, I supposed. A small apartment, quiet except for the coffee brewing in the kitchen each morning. But home felt empty without Michael. I could still hear his laugh in the hall, see the corners of the living room where his favorite chair sat untouched. When did life get this heavy? It felt like yesterday and a lifetime ago all at once. How did I survive each day with this anger? Each prayer, each Sunday at church, I carried the weight of unforgiveness like a stone in my chest. And then it happened. A sharp screech of tires behind me. My heart jumped into my throat. I felt the car swerve, my body tense, and before I could scream, glass shattered and darkness rushed in. I did not know it yet, but that night, I would stare into death itself. And the question that had haunted me for years, the hardest one I would ever face, was about to demand an answer. The world spun around me. Rain splashed against the broken windshield. My hands were wet with sweat and blood, and I could hear the faint hiss of the tires as the car skidded across the wet asphalt. Oh my God, please, I gasped, my voice barely audible over the storm outside. Where was help? How could this be happening to me here tonight? I tried to move, but every muscle felt like it had frozen. My seatbelt bit into my shoulder, and my chest ached like it had been crushed. I could smell the sharp tang of gasoline, see shards of glass glittering like tiny stars on the dashboard. Panic clawed at my throat. Am I going to die here? Somewhere behind me, a voice shouted. Call 911. Somebody call 911. My ears rang, and then a hand touched my shoulder. Emily, can you hear me? A paramedic asked, his voice calm but urgent. Stay with me, ma'am. Help is coming. I tried to respond, but words failed me. My mind went somewhere else, back to Michael. Why did he have to die? How am I supposed to live without him? I felt anger surge again, sharp and hot. I remembered the police report, the name of the man who killed him, and the thought made my stomach twist. Could I ever forgive him? Time blurred. Lights flashed. Sirens wailed. Every question I had ever asked in prayer, the who, what, where, when, why, and how crowded into my mind. Why do terrible things happen to good people? How can God let this pain continue? Could I ever let go of this rage? The paramedics worked fast, pulling me out of the car, laying me on a stretcher. We're going to get you through this, one said. But their words sounded distant, like they were coming from underwater. My chest tightened. I felt my heart slowing. My breath came in shallow gasps. Is this the end? I remembered Michael's smile, his laughter in the kitchen, his hand brushing mine as we prayed together. And I hated the man who had stolen him from me, and yet, deep down, I knew that my anger was heavier than the grief. Could I forgive him? Could I ever let this go before it destroyed me? Emily, stay with us, a voice shouted. I tried to scream, but only a whisper came out. The sky above me tilted, spinning, colors bending in impossible ways. The rain, the lights, the shouts, they all became distant echoes. And in that chaos, a quiet question whispered in my mind, am I ready to face what comes next? And then, everything went silent. Darkness swallowed me whole. One moment, I was on the stretcher, drenched in rain and shaking with fear. The next, I felt weightless, as if my body had dissolved into the air. Where was I? How could I still be thinking? My chest no longer hurt, but my mind raced faster than ever. What was happening? Was this death? Was this the end of everything I had known? I could hear a faint hum, almost like whispers swirling around me. Emily, the voice was soft but unmistakable, calling me by name. I wanted to run toward it, but I had no legs, no feet, no direction. I floated, suspended in a strange gray-blue light that felt alive, like it breathed with me. I could not see anything clearly, but I felt everything, every regret, every anger, every moment I had hidden bitterness in my heart. Why am I here? I asked silently. What is happening to me? I felt Michael's absence like a hollow in my chest, and at the same time, a heaviness of all the anger I had carried since that night. Could I forgive him? Could I ever let go of this rage before it consumes me completely? Then the memories hit me sharp and vivid. Michael laughing as I burned pancakes one Sunday morning. His hand brushing mine as we prayed in our small living room. The sound of his voice singing along with the church choir. And then, the moment of the crash, the flash of glass, the screech of tires. I could feel the sudden surge of panic, the taste of fear in my mouth, and the shock of my heart stopping. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I knew this was not just the end. This was a reckoning. All of it, the grief, the bitterness, the anger, it was coming to meet me. I wanted to fight, to pull myself back into the world of the living, to claw at the stretcher beneath me, to scream. But no sound came. Only thoughts. Only questions. Why did this happen? How could God allow this pain? Who was I if I could not forgive? What would become of my soul if I stayed angry? And then I felt it, a pressure, like the weight of judgment, a presence surrounding me, not threatening, but heavy with expectation. My own sins, my failures, my moments of pride, my days I had turned away from prayer, they all pressed against me like walls of fire. And I understood, in a way I had never before, death was not just the end of life, it was the mirror of my soul. A voice, soft but commanding, echoed through the void. Emily, look at yourself. I looked, though there was nothing to see. And yet I saw everything. The anger I had carried toward the man who killed Michael. The resentment I had held in my prayers. The nights I had whispered, I will never forgive. The cold calculations of how I could make him pay, even if only in my heart. I felt the edges of my mind fracture under the weight of truth. And in that silence, a single thought screamed louder than everything else. I cannot carry this anymore. I cannot stay here with this bitterness. It will destroy me before I even leave the world of the living. Then came the fear, sharp and immediate. Not just fear of death, fear of what would come next if I refused to forgive. My heart, or what remained of it, quaked. My soul trembled. I had hidden behind faith for so long, telling myself I am righteous, I am strong, I am forgiving. But here, in the stillness beyond life, I saw that I had been lying, even to myself. I remembered Michael's last words years ago after a small argument over something trivial. Emily, do not let anger rule your heart. Let God handle the rest. And now I understood. The anger had ruled me. It had built a wall around my heart so high that love could not reach me, not even for myself. The voice returned, gentler now. Do you understand, Emily? Can you release it? Release what? I whispered, though I had no mouth. How could I forgive? He took Michael, Yes, the voice interrupted. And yet, forgiveness is not for him. It is for you. Will you let go? I did not answer immediately. I thought of every tear I had shed, every sleepless night, every moment I had begged God for justice. Could I let it go? Could I forgive a man who had taken everything I loved? And then, in the silence, I heard it again, my own heart, or what I thought was my heart. A faint rhythm, like a whisper, forgive and live. And something inside me shifted. Not completely. Not instantly. But a small space opened inside my chest, and I felt peace. Real, strange, and impossible peace. I was afraid still, and I would be afraid again, but for the first time, I understood there was a way forward. A way to face life and death without the chains of hatred. And then, in the silence, I heard a voice call my name. And in that moment, a question rose in my mind, sharper than fear or grief. If this had happened to you, could you forgive the one who took everything you loved? I could feel the weight of that question pressing on me, as if the answer would decide more than just my heart, but would it decide my soul? The voice called me again, soft yet firm. Emily. I floated toward it, though I did not know where toward meant. The gray-blue haze of nothingness began to shift. A light appeared, not harsh, but alive, warm, and comforting. I felt it wrap around me like a hug I had been waiting for my entire life. Who is this? Where was I? How could I feel so safe here, when I had thought death would be frightening? Do not be afraid, the voice said. You are not alone. I wanted to ask so many questions. Why me? Why now? Why must I face this? But the words caught in my mind. Instead, I felt a presence, powerful, alive, yet gentle. Emily, the voice said, look at what you carry inside you. All the anger, bitterness, and rage I had held since Michael died pressed against me like heavy chains. And suddenly, I saw it. A vision flashed before my eyes. Hell. Smoke curled thick and black, choking, burning. Faces twisted in pain, eyes wide with terror. Flames licked bodies that cried without end, screaming for mercy that never came. Chains rattled, dragging souls into deeper fires. I felt the heat on my skin, the sting of smoke in my lungs, the unbearable weight of endless regret. This could be me, I realized, if I carried my anger to the grave. My heart froze. The man who killed Michael, yes, but also me, if I refused to forgive. Every night I had whispered, I will never forgive, flashed before me. And here, in this vision, I saw what that choice would cost my soul. Pain without relief. Fire without end. Smoke that burned lungs I would no longer have. Chains that pulled me down into darkness I could not escape. Emily, do you see? The voice asked. Yes, I whispered, tears flowing. I see. I understand. Why have you held it? The presence asked. Why have you allowed hate to grow where love should live? I thought of Michael, of the man who killed him, of every sleepless night, every prayer whispered with clenched fists. Because it hurts too much. I cannot forgive. I do not know how. Forgiveness is not for him, the voice replied. It is for you. Your soul cannot be free while you carry this stone in your heart. Will you let it go? I shivered. Could I forgive someone who had taken my entire world? How could mercy exist in the face of such loss? And then, I felt Michael's presence, not as a ghost, but as love alive in memory. I could hear him whisper, Emily, peace. I remembered scripture, words I had sung hundreds of times but never fully felt. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Matthew 5 verse 9. The weight of my anger lifted just a fraction. Forgiveness was not weakness, it was survival. It was mercy. How? I asked. How do I forgive when it hurts this much? By letting go, the voice said. By choosing to release the anger, the desire for revenge, the hatred you have carried. You do not forgive to forget, you forgive to live. To be whole again. Do you understand? Yes, I breathed, though tears welled in a place that was not eyes, but soul. I will try. And then it happened. The chains in my chest, the smoke of bitterness, the fire of hatred, they all began to dissolve. Light filled every corner of me. I felt a warmth I had not known since Michael was alive. A small smile formed not on my lips, but deep inside me. Good, the voice said. You are ready. You will return. But remember, the world will test you. The anger, the pain will try to reclaim you. Do not let it. Walk in forgiveness, and you will walk in life. I wanted to linger, to float in that light forever. But a gentle pull began drawing me back toward my body. Am I ready? I asked. More than you know, the presence said. And then I felt the light shift, the gray-blue haze returning, and my body, wet, battered, human, welcomed me back. My chest ached with the pulse of life, my ears rang with the faint hum of machines, but inside, something had changed. I was no longer just Emily Dawson. I was someone who had faced death, stared into it, glimpsed hell, and found the courage to forgive. I felt a tug, gentle but insistent, pulling me back toward my body. The warmth of the light began to fade, the gray-blue haze creeping in again. My chest ached, but not from anger or fear this time. It was the pulse of life returning. "Emily, stay with us," a voice shouted. My eyes snapped open. The hospital room came into focus. Bright fluorescent lights, the smell of antiseptic, the beep of monitors. Tubes ran into my arms, and cold sweat plastered my hair to my forehead. My body felt broken and heavy, bruised from the crash, yet alive. I could hear voices shouting around me, but they sounded distant, like underwater echoes. Hands touched my arms and chest, cold yet urgent. Machines beeped rapidly. I felt someone pressing on my ribs, someone else adjusting straps across my body. "She's back," one nurse yelled. "Her pulse, it's returning." I tried to speak, but my throat was raw. I am. The words barely left me, but the staff around me erupted in relief. I could hear another voice, deep and calm, giving instructions, while someone else scribbled notes on a clipboard. 7 minutes. The words echoed in my mind. 7 minutes I had floated between life and death. My heart had stopped, my lungs still, my body lifeless in the ambulance just minutes ago. I had been dead. Tears welled up as I saw my mother, Gloria, pacing the waiting room. Her face was pale, eyes red from crying. "Where is she? Where is Emily?" she had cried when the ambulance pulled in. My sister, Natalie, gripped the phone like it was a lifeline, trembling. "Please, tell me she's okay," she whispered to no one in particular, voice cracking. I tried to speak. I am, my throat burned. The words barely escaped, but the room erupted in relief. Marcus exhaled loudly. "She's back. She's alive." I could hear voices shouting around me, but they sounded distant, like underwater echoes. Hands touched my arms and chest, cold yet urgent. Machines beeped rapidly. I felt someone pressing on my ribs, someone else adjusting straps across my body. "She's back," one nurse yelled. "Her pulse, it's returning." I tried to speak, but my throat was raw. I am. The words barely left me, but the staff around me erupted in relief. I could hear another voice, deep and calm, giving instructions, while someone else scribbled notes on a clipboard. Every detail hit me, the smell of antiseptic, the cold touch of the 4 lines, the harsh fluorescent light above, but inside, I felt something entirely different, peace. A warmth I had not felt since Michael had been alive filled me. I remembered the smoke, the fire, the chains, the faces screaming in hell. And now I understood why forgiveness was so urgent, so necessary. I whispered, barely audible, "Thank you for life. For peace. For understanding." Gloria leaned over me, tears streaming. "Emily, oh my God, you're alive." I wanted to hug her, but my body was weak. Natalie gripped my hand. "We thought we lost you," she sobbed. I was praying so hard. I nodded, still shaking, and thought of the voice I had heard, the presence that had shown me mercy. I will not waste this second chance. I will forgive. I will live differently. Even as pain shot through my ribs, through the bruises on my arms and legs, I felt alive in a way I had never been before. Alive not just in breath, but in soul. Every heartbeat reminded me of the second chance I had been given, every shallow inhale a gift I had earned. I had been gone for 7 minutes, and yet I had returned changed. Alive in body, but reborn in spirit. And I knew, with the deepest part of me, that life would never be the same. I lay in the hospital bed for hours, too weak to move, but my mind refused to rest. Every sound, the distant beeping of monitors, the footsteps in the hallway, the low murmur of nurses reminded me I was alive. But alive in a way I had never been before. Alive with a choice, to stay bitter or to forgive. I thought of Michael again. His laugh, the way he held my hand when I prayed, the warmth of his smile. And then I thought of the man who had taken him from me. My chest tightened at the thought, but deeper inside, I felt a light, tiny, fragile, but growing. I understood now, forgiveness was not for him. It was for me. To breathe. To live. To heal. When I returned home, the first thing I did was sit in Michael's favorite chair, the one he always used in the living room. The silence pressed against me, but I welcomed it. I whispered a prayer I had never said aloud. Lord, help me forgive. Help me to let go. Help me to live fully again. It was not easy. The anger came back in small, sharp bursts, the memory of the crash, the rage at the man who had destroyed my world. But I faced it. I named it. And little by little I released it, piece by piece, to the presence I had encountered beyond death. I will not let hate rule me. I will forgive. I will live. A week later, I found out the man who had killed Michael had been arrested. I could have rejoiced in vengeance, could have let bitterness rise again. But I remembered the vision, the smoke, the chains, the unending fire. I whispered his name, not in anger, but in release. I forgive you, I said quietly, tears streaming, my hands trembling. I release this hatred. Forgiveness did not erase the pain. It did not bring Michael back. But it lifted a weight I had carried for years. And with that weight gone, I felt freedom to live, to love, to rebuild. I began to share my story, first with my family, then with my church. I spoke at small gatherings, telling them what I had seen, what I had felt, the choice I had made. I recorded my testimony for online forums and podcasts, hoping it would reach someone who needed hope, someone trapped in bitterness and grief. You do not have to carry it forever, I would say, voice shaking with emotion. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is life. People reached out. They cried with me, thanked me, asked questions. How did you find the courage? One woman asked. I smiled through tears. I had no courage at first. I had to face death to see what hatred really cost me. Only then could I choose life. And I continue to live differently. I pray with more honesty, love more deeply, and embrace each day as a gift. Every sunrise, every small joy, reminds me I have been given a second chance. I no longer carry the bitterness that once ruled me. I carry hope instead. And I want you, watching this, to carry that hope too. If someone in your life has wronged you, if your heart is heavy with anger, consider this. Life is fragile, and tomorrow is never promised. Forgive not for them, but for you. For yourself before it is too late. If you feel moved by my story, help me reach more people. Share this testimony with 2 people who need hope. Type Amen in the comments if you believe in second chances. Tell me where you're watching from, I want to know your heart. I do not know how long I will continue to tell this story, but I know this. I was shown mercy for a reason. I was shown hell and spared, not just to survive, but to live fully, to forgive, to testify. And I will honor that gift every day of my life. I sit now, thinking back to that night, the rain, the crash, the moment I left my body. I remember the smoke, the fire, the chains, the screams of souls trapped in anger and bitterness. And I remember the light, the warmth, the presence that showed me mercy. If your heart stopped tonight, if life hung by a thread, would you be ready? Would you forgive before it is too late? Would you let go of the anger and bitterness that weighs you down? Now is the time of salvation. 2 Corinthians 6 verse 2, those words echo in my mind. Life is fragile. Pain is inevitable. But forgiveness is a choice that saves your soul from unending suffering. Lord, awaken every heart watching this right now. Touch the hearts weighed down by anger, grief, and resentment. Give them courage to forgive, to let go, and to embrace life fully. Show them mercy as you showed me mercy, and lead them into freedom. I made a promise to tell these to lots of people, and you can help me by sharing this with at least 3 persons that needs hope or a reminder of the power of forgiveness. Share this video with them, so they too can see that life, mercy, and love are worth embracing. Don't forget to subscribe. I do not know how many days I will live, but I know this. The mercy I received is not just for me. It is a gift for anyone who will open their heart. Forgive, release, live, and never take a single heartbeat for granted.